right, I have clicked the go live button. Facebook can catch up with us. We're going to go ahead and start rolling. So first thing that I want to do here is share my screen with you. I do have just, some light slides here that I want to share with you today. This isn't going to be the typical webinar where we're clicking through hundreds of slides. As I mentioned previously, the only reason you should be here is to learn these 5 simple activities that when you commit to regularly practicing them will lead you to exactly whatever it is that you want without fail. That's my promise to you. And to pay the bills, we have this webinar sponsored by our brand new product at Happy Grasshopper called Chirp. So if you haven't already heard about this, you should definitely be using Chirp. It is a 41 touch per year program consisting of 17 emails, 6 to 12 texts, and 6 to 12 voicemail drops. These are ringless voicemails only for your past clients and Sphere. So the way that it works is super, super simple. Our writers create the content. We put the content in our system for you. And listen up, if you're a broker or a brand, we can put this in your branding, right? And then we make these messages available that are very simply and automatically delivered to the contacts in your account. The whole purpose is to start conversations between you and the people you know who may be interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So that's enough about Chirp for today, guys. We're going to dive right in and talk about these 5 activities. So as mentioned previously, this is going to be an interactive session. So right now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I would love to see your answers in the chat. So what do you want? Tell me. I want to know what you guys want specifically. Okay, I see some messages coming in. These are some good ones. I see more leads, more sales, more conversions, more listings, more money, more time, more beneficial life, consistent business. I want to control my time. These are all very good things. And by the way, for what it's worth, there's no wrong answer. Like whatever thing it is that you're thinking of, that's the right thing. That is absolutely the right thing for you to share. So I'm going to stop my screen share now, because now that we have these answers, we want to talk a little bit more in detail. And if you haven't given me an answer to that question yet, please do. Like, please go ahead and pop your answer to what you want in the chat. Okay. I want to control my time, consistent business, more beneficial life, more money, more time, more listings, more conversions. Like we're seeing roughly 2 types of answers right now. Some like from Lisa and Bob and Dawn. These are very business related wants. More listings, more money, more time, more closings, more conversion. Like those are all falling in the business category. And I'd like to start by challenging your thinking here. Now, you say you want more closings, which presumably means you want more capital, more cash, right? I'm going to submit to you that what you really want are the feelings that that provides you with. Somebody may have written, I want a Ferrari, right? I want a Rolex. I want a vacation. I want X, Y, Z. Like if I ask my daughter, she's going to say, I want another American Girl. And, whatever that thing is that a person tells themselves they want, what they really want are the feelings they associate with having that thing. Okay. So, in my career, the stage I'm at, I definitely want to give back. I want to provide as much value for people as I possibly can. I want to help as many people as I possibly can get the things that they want, right? So there's lots of things that can be measured along the way to do this. And, to really spell those out for people, we've got to go a little bit deeper once again. So I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to talk a little bit about psychology. So whatever it is that a person wants, again, whatever a thing is that they might name, it's to fill one of just 6 human needs, right? And we're going to break these down in couplets. So the first 2 human needs are certainty and variety. And you guys really need to write this down because this is going to clear up a lot of things for you. Think of yourself as a fresh new human being, a child. Like one of the things you are trying to figure out is what you can depend on. Gravity, like how do things work? When you take a breath, will there be air? When you open your eyes, will you see things? We need to have a very base level of certainty in the way things work to proceed with our lives. We have to have that. And as we get older and we progress through things, we look for certainty in lots of other things. You turn the key in your car, you expect it to start, right? You flip the switch on the lights, you expect them to come on, right? You buy leads on the internet, you expect the leads to come in, you expect to have a chance of converting them. You need to have that certainty in your life because otherwise things are just too stressful. It's way too stressful for us not to have a base level of certainty in our lives. And then, of course, that gets balanced by our need for variety. Because as wonderful it is to have absolute certainty in the way things work, it can be incredibly boring. We don't like to have tons of boredom in our lives. We need a little bit of variety to spice it up. So, as you're providing services to your clients and you understand what their basic human needs are, you're going to be in a much better position to fulfill them. So the next couplet that I want you to think about is significance and love and connection. So significance is something that every one of us needs, right? We feel significant when we're validated by other people. When someone tells you, you did a great job. Oh my God, you're the best agent I've ever worked with in my life. I can't wait to refer people to you. That's incredibly validating, right? It fills the need for significance that we have. Another person might measure that need for significance by the volume of transactions they're doing, right? When they're held up in front of their office or their brokerage as a top producer, as the person who sold more than anyone else, they feel tremendous. They feel significant for having achieved that. And significance, you see, is directly connected to love and connection. It's not enough for us to have the recognition of people at large. We also need to have those close connections, those interpersonal connections between people we really care about. We want to have those quiet one-to-one conversations that really make a difference in the lives of people, right? It's a very important thing. And whenever you're shopping for something, whenever you're out there trying to decide whether to buy something or not buy it, when someone's trying to decide whether they should buy you or not buy you in terms of becoming their professional that they work with, they're looking to have all of these human needs met. And the last two have to do with growth and contribution. So growth, I think, is self-explanatory, right? If we're not growing, we're dying. Doesn't feel great not to be growing. And then, of course, contribution is very important. So let me encapsulate all of this for you. There's a very important point here that I need to make sure we communicate to you. And it's that the things that we think we want, we generally think they want them because we believe it will make us happy, right? Well, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We believe that having more listings, more leads, more closings will lead us to a place where we can have time. We can control our lives a bit more. We can take the boot off our throat. We can feel less financially stressed. We can get to a place where we actually are enjoying our lives. We're actually, OMG, happy. At the end of the day, that's what we're all searching for, is the ability to be happy. So, on my personal journey, I've learned about all these things. I've tried to assimilate all these things. And what I've discovered is that, whether I've launched multi-million-dollar businesses, whether I have money in the bank or I'm flat broke, I have some control over my level of happiness. And I've taken the time to provide a framework for you can follow that will consistently and significantly change your destiny when you apply these things over time. So I call these the 5 activities, and we're going to go over them now, and then we're going to touch on them in more detail. So number 1 is know your metrics. 2 is set a goal and, Like the and here is very important. I will cover that in detail. Number 3 is journal. Number 4 is make calls and of course the and here is where the magic happens. And then number 5 is to make a stranger smile. Okay? These seem like really simple activities, don't they? Give me a yes in the chat if these seem incredibly simple. Okay. Guess what, guys? A sit-up is simple. A push-up is simple. Taking your vitamins is simple. Going for a walk is simple. And yet we live in a world where there's people who are suffering from obesity. We live in a world where people treat themselves poorly. They, self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. Just because something is easy does not mean, just because something simple does not mean it's easy. You know that, right? These activities are very simple. Enacting them consistently over time is where the challenge comes in. So we're going to break these down. We're going to teach you a way that you can implement this quickly and easily and start to see those results as soon as the first day you apply yourself. So your first activity is to know your metrics. Okay. I want to say, I'm going to misquote it. Who was it who said, somebody in the chat knows, that what gets measured gets managed, right? You can't be any more accurate than that. And if you're walking through life not knowing your numbers, it's really hard to get to a place where you feel satisfied with your progress. If you don't know where you are, how can you possibly figure out how to get where you think you want to go, right? So the very first metric that I'm going to ask you to study on a regular basis is your health, okay? So there's all sorts of diet and fitness plans. There's all sorts of things you can do for your health. There's some basics that absolutely should be built into everyone's life, like annual checkups, absolutely. Regular dental visits, absolutely. You should have a plan for your health like you plan for your wealth, for your retirement. You should absolutely know what it is that you want to get out of life and understand that your body is the vehicle that makes it happen. Like, so many of you on the call today are in the real estate business, and you're providing structures in which people get to experience their lives, right? And our bodies are the places that we get to have those experiences. So we need to learn to take care of them. We have to respect it. It's a finite resource. We've got to take care of it over time. So I'll share with you the metrics I run every day. I know I'm stepping away from the camera here for a moment, but this is how important this is to me. I have one of these scales here just aside from my desk. So every day I step on the scale. I see, am I taking steps towards my goal, or am I taking steps away from my goal? It's easy, guys. It's easy to know some very basic metrics and to count them. The next area that we're going to look at is wealth. Is there a person alive who wouldn't like to have more wealth, more certainty that their economic prosperity is secure? They must be incredibly wealthy. I'll tell you, some of the most successful people I know pay attention to their wealth on a daily basis. I'm going to make a referral here. There's a guy in real estate. Many of you know his name. It's Ben Kinney. He's a good friend of mine. He's been a client of mine for a long time. And he has a podcast called Win, Make, Give. And earlier this year, he ran a whole sequence on financial health. And it's one of the best, most well put together, most thoughtful sessions on personal finance and wealth management that I've ever seen. I think it's incredibly valuable. So go find the podcast, listen to that wealth series. One of the things that you'll see is that he's asking you to measure your net worth. Like, I step on a scale, I know how much I weigh. You ought to have your life set up to where you can look at your bank account. You can look at your financial fitness report and you can see your net weight, just like the scale tells me what I weigh, right? Because again, what gets measured gets managed. Now, I see there's some stuff coming in the chat here. I'm going to take a look over here. Missy, his name is Ben Kinney. And Stephanie, I see, yeah, it was an amazing series. It's really, really, really good. There's a lot of good stuff there. So go check out that podcast. You will not regret it. I promise you. So the next area of your metrics that I want to call attention to is growth. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how much money you've earned. I can tell you that unless you're continually reaching to grow, you're going to feel a sense of stagnation. And, just like you wouldn't want to go swim in a stagnant pond, you don't want to live in a stagnant life, right? The way to stay young is to stay growing. You can always grow your mind. You can grow your compassion. You can grow your wisdom. You can grow your love, right? And you have to pay attention to that in order to do it. So how do we measure these things like love and compassion? It can be a challenge, right? It can be a challenge. So this is one where I measure different things consistently over time. Like I just started reading a book by Ross Rosenberg last night that I'm enjoying. I'm finding it very insightful. And so that's something that, I'm making notes about. I'm thinking about, I'm chatting about with friends and family and loved ones. That is a component of growth, like having continual new input, allowing you to access a new frame of reference to think about things is one of the ways that you stay connected to growth. So congratulations, because if you're here watching this, you already value that. I know that you do, or you wouldn't be here, right? That's a very, very good thing. Now, Jim, I saw your question. His last name is Kinney, Kinney, Ben Kinney. And he's a really great dude, really great dude. So this is the first of 5 activities, know your metrics. Now, a word about these activities. They're designed to be accomplished daily. Every single day, this should be something you do. And I doubt there's a single person on this call that didn't brush their teeth today at least once, right? I doubt there's a single person on this call that didn't get dressed at least once on this call. There's nothing on this list that's more complicated than those activities. It's just something you have to get in the rhythm of. And it can take a little while to develop that rhythm. So starting today, I want you, I beg you, I plead with you for your own good, take some time and write down these metrics, okay? Now, the second activity, which is also very simple, is to set a goal and the and here is really the most important part, it's to take steps toward achieving it. It's really easy to set a goal and do nothing about it. It's not really easy to not achieve your goals if you're not consistently taking action. In other words, if you set a goal and you immediately do something that will allow you to achieve that, you're building momentum, you're teaching your inner brain, your inner self that you're the kind of person who does what you say you're going to do, and you're realigning your whole psychology. Achieving goals isn't something that other people do now, it's something you do, because every single day you're getting the proof that you're capable of making that happen. So I'm going to share with you something pretty cool here. I had the great gift of discovering these notes recently. I started taking these notes back in April of 1997. Maybe you can see that on the screen. I was setting goals. I was talking about this year, maybe I'll earn $67,000. I really wanted to get there back in 1997. I have these pages and pages and pages of my thinking recorded at that point in time. And it's, looking back here, guys, there's one of these many pages in here where I say things like, I want to have a backyard paradise. I want to have the kind of home where my children know that their friends are always welcome. I want to have the kind of capacity to have a full fridge and an open heart for any who may choose to need me or visit. And, today I'm speaking to you from the detached garage at my horse farm in Odessa, Florida. So I'm living my dream. I have a barn full of horses 200 feet this way. My house is 150 feet that way. The level of prosperity is not the impressive thing here, though, guys. What's impressive is that if you write it down and you think about how to get there, you will get there, right? So what we need to do is establish some basic activities that allow you to build the strength, the muscle that you need to get you there over time. And it starts with setting a simple goal and taking steps towards achieving it every single day. Straightforward and simple, guys. And Tom, we've got plenty of fresh eggs. You might even hear some chickens in the background if you listen closely. So you're welcome for those eggs. The third activity here that we're going to talk about is journaling. This doesn't seem very sexy, does it? Journaling. I can remember being at a Tony Robbins seminar and him saying, a life worth living is a life worth recording. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, right? It wasn't something that came easy to me. I'll confess that to you. And yet looking back over the past 20 plus years of my life, it's been something that's made a huge difference, right? It has become not just something I value, but I consider it necessary. Like to maintain my mental health, to maintain my stamina, I need to journal. It's that important, it's that critical. So I'll share some other things with you. Like here on the bookshelf next to my desk, these are all completed journals that I've filled out over the past couple of years. Literally, just a couple of years. Last year, towards the end of the year, I bought this device, a Remarkable, that's quickly become my favorite tech toy because I just can journal in this every day. And, I think that's a pretty important thing to set as an expectation. Journaling is a key component here. It is not the thing that you leave out. It is just the foundational element for everything else, right? There's a famous writer who says, I don't know what I think until I write it down. And what I've discovered is that the more I journal, the more it's like writing letters to my innermost honest self, where I can strip away all the artifice and the pretense, and I can just show up as who I really am. It's a place to confess your fears, your concerns, your worries, your hopes, and your dreams. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I was raised in a Catholic Methodist home. It's been a long time since I've been in a confession, but my journal serves as a place where every day I get to write down the things that I'm thinking about, the things that are making an impact. So I strongly, strongly encourage you to adopt the practice of journaling. And I'll show you a way to make that super easy here before this session's done. So we're already covered 3 activities. I mean, that's how simple they are, right? We've covered 3. And number 4 and number 5 are just a total blast. Like the first 3 are the heavy lifting, right? The next 2 are just the joy. It's so much fun. So number 4 is to call 3 people and the and, of course, is the big thing, express sincere gratitude, right? That's pretty simple and straightforward. You all have databases. Right? Whether you're using Happy Grasshopper or any other system, or you're just looking at people in your phone, what you can do is go ahead and just call 3 people on your list and have a conversation with them and make sure to express sincere gratitude. Earlier today, I was on the phone with a friend of mine named Howard Shore. Howard is quite an amazing business person. He's been a consultant with organizations like the Gazelles. He wrote a great business book called How to Fix Your Leaky Bucket. He is a thinker, a doer. He's a very successful human being. And I've been privileged to become his friend over the past 4 years. So today we had a conversation, and out of the blue, I said, you know what, Howard, I don't think I've ever told you this before. I really appreciate you. Like, I think of all the people I know, just how lucky I am that you're in my life. I really, really appreciate you. And he's like, oh my God, Dan, like goosebumps. It's such an easy thing to do. And it's so valuable for them, and it's valuable for you. Because when you're in the habit of making these phone calls, you become to believe, like, you know in your heart how powerful you are. It's a way you can tap in to your ability to make that positive impact in the world. So you're giving them a tremendous gift, and you get to keep a gift for yourself at the very same time. It's such a thrill. It's so much fun to make these calls. When you start making these, you will not stop. It's so easy. You'll probably want to make more than 3. The magic here, though, is not in the number of calls that you make in one day. Like, you can't take 100 baths in one day and say you're done. You have to do it consistently over time to really get the value here. Now, number 4 is again, just a joy. Once you implement it, you will enjoy it. Number 5 is something that falls right in the same category. This has become such an ingrained part of my life that I can't wait. Like, every trip to the store, every time I have to call like Verizon and complain about something, every time I'm put on hold at corporate America, I can't wait, because it's my opportunity to make a stranger smile, right? So this is so simple. Anytime you meet someone, I know it's COVID days, right? So we're all walking around wearing masks, but when we smile at a stranger, we make a big impact in their life. We can shake them up. We can pull them out of the rut that they're in. We can have a meaningful connection with them. So I'll give you another example. Just 2 days ago, I think that's right, I was at Costco. Like probably a lot of you, I'm a Costco member. And as I walked up to the front, there's always a person who's checking for cards, and they don't really engage with a lot of people. But I made sure to make an engagement there, right? And like, she laughed, she smiled, she was taken out of that rut. And it was a chance for her to connect with another human being instead of just see the sea of people coming into the store all the time. So again, numbers 4 and 5 are here because it's a way that you build your internal strength in such a way that you can really make a difference in the world. So these are the 5 activities that I wanted to cover with you today. And I'm, of course, paying attention to the chat here as we go through. Always happy to answer questions, always happy to hear your input on these 5 things. The next part of the session, like I told you, this session is sponsored by Happy Grasshopper. For those of you who would like to hang out with me, you're certainly welcome to. I see there's some chat stuff popping up over here. It's a little distracting. What I'd like to do now is do a little bit of a deeper dive. I want to show you how I use Happy Grasshopper, specifically Chirp, to help me implement my 5 activities, right? So if you'd like to hang out with me and take a peek at that, you're certainly welcome to. Otherwise, I'll answer a few questions here. We'll take a peek. Maya's telling me this is still private on Facebook. I don't know what to tell you, Maya. It's not intended to be. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in here. So again, a little recap about what we've just covered here today. We've talked about 5 activities that are designed to get you to the top. So specifically, whatever goal it is that you set for yourself, however large that may be, we have to develop some habits that allow us to achieve things. So each of these activities has been designed to teach your inner self that you're the kind of person who achieves the goals that you set out to be, and to do it in a way that's delightful, not just for you, but for the people that you're going through life with, right? So I know that as you put these to work, you're going to see it make a difference in your life. And now I'm going to show you how I use our system to help me do that. So Chirp is a version of Happy Grasshopper that's designed only for people who know you. So not for leads, right? This is specifically your past clients, your sphere. My personal account, I like to limit it only to people that I like. That's all, because I don't want to have conversations with a zillion people. I want to have conversations with a few people that really can make a difference. So if you're using Chirp, if you choose to have this kind of account set up, I would encourage you to ask yourself before loading a contact, does this person know who I am? And do I like this person? If you say yes to both of those questions, they should be in there. Now, each of those people will get 17 non-salesy emails per year. They'll get 6 to 12 conversation starting text messages and 6 to 12 ringless voicemail drops per year. So I want to break this down a little bit more detail. The 6 to 12, well, let's kind of count those out here. The first one is their birthday, right? So on their birthday, I want them to get a voicemail from you. A week prior to their birthday, I want them to get a text from you, right? This way you're not competing with Facebook on their birthday for their attention. You can be there ahead of time, and then you can drop that voicemail and again, have it be totally automated. I want to run that same program for their transaction anniversary if they're your past client. So a text followed by a voicemail drop is very effective for that. Then we have 6 holidays that we would encourage you to send messaging about. And then that leaves 4 messages left, which would be your quarterly lead harvesting messages. So again, think who the audience is. This is your past client and sphere. So we don't want to always hammer them with real estate related issues. And yet we do definitely want to harvest leads from this audience. So once per quarter, we ask them very specifically to connect you to people they know who might want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So Jim, I see your question there. Yes, we do record all of these. And I do include family and relatives in the list. That's important. You know, the vast majority of these messages are not real estate related. You know, if we're talking about email, well, we'll let your email signature remind them what you do for a living. But we're not going to just chat about real estate all the time. Now, for those of you that choose to run this program, there's a few expectations we should get out of the way. First, this is not like other programs you may have run in the past. You know, many of you working on newsletters, you're used to, well, I work really hard, I send it out, and nobody cares. Nobody notices, nobody engages. And with Chirp, you're going to get replies almost instantly. So that's the real world experience. And we see these sorts of comments from people like Cassidy all the time. She got her first reply in 12 minutes. She only loaded 3 contacts just to test it, right? So she's not really even using the full system, and yet she's getting that kind of engagement. So that's outstanding. And I just like to be transparent here. If you use this, you will get replies. So if you don't want replies, don't use this. The data here. Now, as an entrepreneur, I will tell you that I could not be where I am if it weren't for the contributions of a bunch of smart people along the way. And one of them is a guy named Billy Harris. He's the CEO of a company called Sempermed. They make sterile gloves like you see almost everyone wear today. So his business is booming at the moment. And one thing Billy taught me is that if you have good data, you can make good decisions. I love the simplicity of that. If you've got good data, you can make good decisions. So for 10 years now, we've been delivering hundreds of millions of messages, and that's allowed us to develop some very compelling data and get some very compelling results. So across our platform, 99% of our messages are delivered. Like that's might not seem impressive, but if it's not, it's only because you don't understand email today. Like that is an outstanding deliverability record. Our open rate, again, just talking about email, we're nearly double the industry average. That's system-wide across Happy Grasshopper. When we look just at Chirp, it's often much, much higher. My open rate in my account is well above 50%, and we have lots of members who are experiencing the same thing. Now, looking just at reply rates, okay, now a reply is not an out of office autoresponder. It's a real conversation. We're seeing about 10% for email and 16% for text, okay? So I'd encourage you to think about the value here when you put all these things together. NAR tells us that the average GCI per site is $6,000. We're seeing that operating this action plan, 41 touches per year across up to 250 contacts, can bring in as many as 12 transactions per year, right? So, you know, if we were to deploy a system that could reliably produce this kind of result for people, how much would that be worth? We had to ask ourselves that. when we were figuring out how to price this product. And so we thought, well, gosh, what's the value? I mean, if we knew what an agent would pay for a $6,000 commission, maybe we could figure out how to price it. And then we thought, well, you know what? We do know. So a lot of them, if they're on a 50-50 split, well, we know what they're paying. Of course, if they're paying just as a referral, they're still paying a bunch of money. And that's way less than hiring a copywriter. So, you know, I don't know if anyone on the call today has ever hired a true professional copywriter, like not the kid next door, not a college kid, not some Yahoo on Fiverr, but a true professional copywriter. These folks get paid. There's a website called Copy Hackers. You can go and look up what copywriters get paid for simple jobs. And you would see that to put a campaign like ours together would cost as much as $10,000, 10 grand. And then you still need a way to send it, right? So when we were asking ourselves, well, how should we value this? What should we price it at? We wanted it to be very accessible for everyone. So here's the pricing. It's just $47 to start and then $470 for your whole year, right? So that's all 41 touches, the 17 emails, the 6 to 12 texts and 6 to 12 voicemail drops. And when those go out and you get those replies and you see people saying things like, oh my gosh, yes, I do know someone who's looking to buy or sell. And you're able to scoop in that business, it's really quick and easy to see how that ROI stacks up. So, you know, if someone spent $470 and they got just one in a whole year, they'd have spent $1 to get $11.60. Like, sell me the stock that gets me that kind of return. I will buy it. And well, what if they got all 12? Like, if they spent $470 and they got $72,000 in transactions, $1 in would equal $139 out. Okay. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, this sounds like an internet sales pitch. Like, I've heard this before. How do I know this is real? How do I know this will actually work? So I wanted to give you a real life example. So there's an agent, a member of ours in Houston, Texas, called Randall Martin, and he sent this email. So this is an example of a non-salesy email. Again, the target here is people who know you. It's not a cold lead. It's not a new IDX search. It's someone who knows the sender. So this message, the subject line is Blockbuster finally pivots. And it reads, did you see this? Blockbuster's last store is now an Airbnb rental. They set it up with 90s furniture, TV, VCR, and all the movies you can watch for $4 per night. And call me crazy, but I actually kind of love this. It makes me wish they'd paid more attention to Netflix and pivoted sooner. Now hear this last part. Speaking of real estate changes, do you know anyone who's thinking of moving? Or even someone we could convince to move if they got enough money for their home, right? So we're taking a topical, interesting thing that's happening now, and we're asking a question that turns the conversation back to real estate, okay? So here's the reply that Randall got to that message. Hope you, Vanessa, and your family are doing well. Your last sentence got me, right? So this is the difference between somebody writing words and a true copywriter. A copywriter understands the psychology. They understand how to grab the attention and convert that attention into a response. That's what created this response. And essentially this person's saying there's, you know, some construction projects in the area. They've been talking about possibly moving. You know, do you think there could be a bump in price when those projects are done? And I mean, obviously, that's a really great lead for Randall to develop from the sending of that message. Now, here's what Randall wrote on the Facebook group in his brokerage. Not kidding, just got a second email from a client that closed in 2017, right? So he got the one reply, then he got a second email from another person. And that person, like you read through here, if both of these alone were to pan out at all, we're talking between 1.5 and 2 million turnarounds on the buy sell for both. Not bad for one email, right? So, I mean, think about that. Like if he gets $2 million in turnarounds, that could be a $60,000 commission check for him on an investment of $470. Like that's a massive no-brainer. It's absolutely massive no-brainer. So Jim, I see your question. How many texts are sent per year? It's 6 to 12. So birthday, transaction anniversary, 4 quarterly lead harvesting texts, and then 6 holiday texts. That's the range of 6 to 12. The reason for the variance would be that some people won't want a message for as many as 6 holidays. So one thing that I decided to do, we've just passed Black Friday and Cyber Monday, right? And we did something pretty cool for those days. I want to extend that only for you guys who are here with me live right now. So today, like today only, it's not $47 to start and $470 for the year. It's 50% off, 50% off. So to get that, all you have to do is go to happygrasshopper.com/offer, and that will be there available for you. So another little special thing that we're sprinkling in here, this is really cool. If you're one of the first 50 people to take us up on this offer, and you buy the annual plan, because you do have the option of buying monthly, but you only get this great discount and this bonus if you buy the annual plan, we're going to include Revaluate for you totally free. So let's talk about Revaluate. You may not have heard of Revaluate. They're a predictive analytics company that studies the big data to tell when someone is going to move. So this is a really cool thing today. And Jim, I see, that's awesome. It will apply for Chirp. Absolutely. I don't know who you're speaking with today at 4, but that could work. And Greg, I see your question. Would your sphere under the Pro version be the same as Chirp? Chirp is a different communication plan than would be included in your Pro account, but we can help you run that inside your account. We can set it up that way for sure. Peter, I see your question. Are we doing this for other industries? Absolutely. We have clients in about 40 different verticals today. So the examples that I've used here today are real estate based, but whatever industry you're in, this can be useful, because keep in mind, we're not selling real estate in the messages. We're creating conversations, right? So in the example I used, we used real estate as the call to conversation, but that sort of thing is easily managed inside your account. So let's take a look here, guys. Back to Revaluate for a moment. They're looking for things like divorces and diplomas. They're looking for these life events online. And when those things pop up, that person is considered more likely to move. So they get identified, and then we identify them for you inside your account. So here's the link for that. It's happygrasshopper.com/offer. That's where you go. And I'm sure one of us can go ahead and pop that in there. And Jim, I see your question. Keith, I see your question. Let me get to these. Keith, you're asking about social media content. We do actually create social media content. It's not part of the Chirp account. Those would be in other Happy Grasshopper accounts. And that's a pretty good segue to the question from Jim, is what would make a person choose another Happy Grasshopper program other than Chirp? That's a great question. So Chirp is designed for one small portion of your audience. It's only people who know you, your past clients, your close sphere, right? And in building your business, they're critical, they're important, they're a foundational element, but they're not everybody. You're generating new business. That business has to be converted. We have to teach that new lead what your past clients and sphere already love about you. So I have a whole team of copywriters at Happy Grasshopper. We interview our members to create that content, and then our technology can capture those leads from wherever they're being generated. So, an IDX lead, a Zillow lead, a Realtor.com lead, you name the online lead source. As long as they're delivering an email lead notification to you, our system can pull that in automatically, and it can start the right campaign to go out to those people. So I see some other questions coming in. Mike is asking, does 50% off apply to Nurture as well? It does not. This is specifically for Chirp, right? This offer again is up at happygrasshopper.com/offer. Would love for you to go take a look there. Missy, this is a fun question. Can the emails be from as a team? I think I understand what you're saying. A lot of our clients who are running teams, like there's a temptation to send a message as the team. And yet a team of people don't ever sit down together to send an email to an individual. So what we've seen from measuring the data for a decade is that if we send the message from a person to a person, we'll get a much higher open and response rate than if we send from a brand to a person, right? So the rule of thumb I kind of live by is if it looks like marketing, it's safe to ignore. So specifically as it relates to Chirp, we're not sending from a team to an individual. It's about that personal relationship between the sender and the reader, right? So it would need to come from the individual person. Rahul is asking, can I copy and use my team member in their email system? I don't think I understand. If you're asking if you can copy the content and use it in another system, you could. I mean, that's possible. We would ask you not to, because one of the technical strengths of our system is that we guarantee our members the message they're sending will never be sent to the same contact by another Happy Grasshopper member. So, a lot of agents, if they've used systems in the past, one of the downfalls is, like one day a month, system X sends out the same email to everybody. And so one contact might get an email from you that's identical to one they're getting from other people. That doesn't happen with Happy Grasshopper. So we ask you not to make that conversion. We ask you not to do that. Ding, ding, ding. Let's see. Jim's got a good question here. If you start with Chirp and want to upgrade to more robust system, how does this work? Separate fee? Well, we give you 100% credit for your purchase of Chirp against any account you upgrade to. And, I'll try to give you guys a pretty good understanding here. Chirp is our lowest price service. It's $47 to start, $470 for the year. And today, as you know, it's 50% off. So that's $258.50 for the year, I think, if I did the math right. That is a really small amount of money to enter the Happy Grasshopper universe and see the power that we can bring to bear for you. We have members investing more than $10,000 to start and paying thousands of dollars per month. Our largest biller is billing over $30,000 per month. So we can scale with you. One of the things that we've done with Chirp is made it a white label opportunity. So we have brokerages that deploy Chirp in their branding. So our name and colors come off, their name and colors go in. And from the user perspective, it's really their product. We're just supporting it in the background. So let's see here. Is there a reason to have Chirp with one of your other systems that are more robust? Well, so Chirp is a communication plan that we're really selling as a single service because there's a need in the market for simplicity. So Chirp fills that. So if you're running a nurture account or a pro account or a team account or an elite account, you can run the Chirp communication plan within those accounts. And Rahul, great question. So in the bottom, will it say it's coming from Chirp? The answer is no. So this is your messaging. It's not ours. We will never send a message from our system that identifies it was from our system. All replies go directly back to you, by the way. They don't come to us. So let's see. Keith is asking, do we have to schedule the post to social media, and are any of the posts linked back to a landing page, back to my website? Aha. So Keith, I'm going to actually jump into an account here in a moment. I think I can answer that, but from a high level, let's be really clear about something. Social media is wonderful. It's powerful. It's a great way to connect with a lot of people. However, you don't have a ton of control over who they show content to. So speaking of Facebook specifically, they use an algorithm called EdgeRank that basically decides whether your content is worth putting in front of people. So we've had a lot of members buy social media services from other vendors where this other vendor is posting open houses and listings and price change alerts and all this sort of stuff is going out on your Facebook page, and no one's engaging. Like, if people don't engage, it teaches the algorithm that you're someone people don't want to pay attention to. So they share less of your content. So our strategy with social media posting is that we provide the content for you, you copy it, you post it directly on the platform. They rank that higher because they see it comes from your device rather than from our servers, right? This way they know it's not automated. So, ding, ding, ding. I love it. Rahul says he's a past Remax franchise owner, and I hear your company for some other product. I think it's phone services. There is Grasshopper, the voice over IP phone service company. Their name used to be Got Vmail, and they changed it to Grasshopper. So I always think it's fun when people see that connection. Tom, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. I'm really glad that you're here today. Joy, you're asking if you have a team, will each team member have their own account that they can have emails and texts coming from? Yes, absolutely. That's the right way to do it because, I might be a great friend with you, Joy, but I may not know who the heck these other people are. And if I'm getting a message from them, it just doesn't feel personal. So, it's really important to recognize the moment in time we're living in. Like we, as human beings, as a species, we've never lived at a time where there's more messaging being fired at us all the time. So if it even has a slight whiff of being safe to ignore, we ignore it. And all marketing is safe to ignore, right? That's why you see all these crazy offers all over the place, because that's how they're trying to cut through with a marketing message. Well, if you have a relationship, you've already cut through all the marketing clutter. You're already so close together that really the trick is just maintaining the conversation. So rather than having content that's designed to be a call to action, we create content that's designed to have calls to conversation. Conversation leads to contracts. That's the path that we help people follow. So Rahul's asking how many accounts to get. It's he, his wife, and 2 team members. So that would be 4 people. So you could just run that, as 4 separate Chirp accounts. Or if it makes sense to have a team account, we can look at that for you as well. This is a team dynamics question because some agents are very comfortable putting their friends and sphere in your system. Others are not. So, depending on the culture in your team, it might make more sense for them to have their separate accounts. And this said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and exit the PowerPoint and show you guys around Chirp here a little bit. So I'm still keeping my eyes peeled on the chat. Can you guys let me know that you're seeing this dashboard all right? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up, something here in the chat so I can see that. All right, cool, that's there. So when you first log in, you're on the dashboard and there's some analytics here. And you'll see that I've set this up to where I have some daily tasks. These might sound familiar considering the webinar you've just been through. Like, I like to have these daily tasks here to remind myself, and then I can just check them off when they're done, right? Simple. So you have the ability to do those tasks. And then I have a little hack for journaling that I want to share. So I'm going to click here on contacts, and I've added myself as a contact to the system. Right? So now I'll just click on my own contact record. And you see, by the way, if people have a Gravatar set up, our system pulls their photo in and associates it with the account. So here I've got like address, tags, social fields, custom fields, conversations, tasks, transaction dates, notes. We've got all this stuff. Well, here's a little hack for you. You can just journal right in the notes section. Right? So this is an entry I made earlier today about the book I've been reading from Ross Rosenberg. There's some interesting stuff here. So I see your question, Patricia. I'm going to answer that for you. The 50% off deal. Regular price is $47 to start and $470 per year. That's $517 per year. The 50% off is one annual payment of $258.50. And again, that's up at happygrasshopper.com/offer. So again, fair warning, this was a Cyber Monday deal that we decided to hold over just for live attendees of this webinar. So if you're watching this in syndication later, that deal will not be available for you unless you've made your purchase by midnight today, Wednesday, December 2nd. So hope that answers your question. Now, back to the account here. I know some people are asking for some samples. So I'm going to click here and show you some of the different content in the system. In our Send by Audience area, we queue emails. And you see each user has the ability to rate these messages. So I'm going to preview this message for you. I'm taking a quick poll and need to know your 3 favorite local businesses. Can you please reply? This is important, right? I rated this myself 4 hearts. I wish I rated it 5 hearts because I sent this message about a week ago and I got a ton of replies. People just rattling off their restaurants, a few saying why, right? Restaurants, local businesses, all this information coming up. The reason that I'm asking this is everyone has an opinion here. Everyone's willing to share. It creates an opportunity for me to have conversation with them. So that's one example of a message. We've got lots of other content here, and all of this content you see has an expiration date. Our writers refresh this content once every 2 weeks. It's all new, right? So next, I'm going to come to handwritten cards. We haven't spent any time talking about this yet, but we created an integration with a service called Handwritten that's really quite phenomenal. So we have dozens and dozens of different cards. Like there's not a thing you can think of that we don't have a card for. I'll just pull up some real estate cards here. So let's say you want to send a season's greeting card related to real estate. There's an example. Home anniversary card. There's an example. Like there's dozens of different examples here. I'm just going to pick one. All of these cards look like Hallmark cards, and anything that you write here is what's going to show up in the card in a font that looks like a human being wrote it. We actually have robots that hold pens, so it looks like actual ink, instead of a printer. So I'm just going to write a quick message here. So happy we were amazing. Looking forward, to serving you soon. All my best. So I've very strategically written this message to have lots of words that have the same letter twice. So here in happy, for example, we have 2 P's that look different. The N's in connect look different. The E's in were look different. You see it over and over throughout the message here. And no matter which font you choose, that same convention is going to hold true here, right? So you'll see there's dozens of different fonts to choose from. You'll find one you like. I think it's more important personally to send one people can read rather than one that maybe matches the actual way that you write. But you can make your choices there for sure. Now, we don't send these cards included in the pricing there. These are all purchased a la carte. So you'll see the details here. This card that I chose is a $4.35 card. That is a handwritten envelope, handwritten card, first class US postage stamp. So, as many as you choose to send, it's available there for you to do that. Now, I'll move on here to voicemail drops. Here in the voicemail drop area, you see we have a bunch of scripts recorded for you, written out for you. Like I recently sent a Thanksgiving message. I'll preview this here for you. And I'll play for you the audio. So here's a suggested script. And here you'll hear how my audio is slightly different. Good morning. It's me, Dan. I just want to reach out and say happy belated Thanksgiving. So I know it's a couple days after the big event, but I hope that you and whomever you may have been with all had a great Thanksgiving. I know we did. So when you can, give me a buzz. Would love to catch up. Thanks. Bye. So pretty straightforward, right? The less it sounds like a radio commercial, the more effective it is. So if you make a mistake as you're recording this, it's totally fine. Just let it fly. Go ahead and send it. I had so many calls back from that. It's amazing to me. And a bunch of text messages, people reaching out. So, every one of these send types, it's designed to just make it easy for you, whether it's a text, a voicemail. Like, we have messages here for you, and you have the ability to create your own. So really straightforward and simple. And then back on the dashboard, we also alert you of opportunities, like contacts with reevaluate scores above 80 would be considered highly likely to move. Upcoming birthdays would be identified there. Upcoming transaction anniversaries would be identified there. So all of this is just designed to make it easy for you to focus on having the conversations rather than trying to be focused all the time on how to manage it all and how to have a system put together to do that. So I'm happy to answer some more questions. I can go more detail into anything here you like. I thought I'd stop the screen share for a moment so I can just look at the chat here a little bit larger. Looks like I'm doing a pretty good job keeping up with your questions here. So let's see, there are 30 people here still with us live. I really appreciate each of you that are here. Now that we're deep enough into the webinar, like you're the diehard crew, the diehard group of people, would it be cool if I asked you guys for something and then did something really cool for you in return? I hope the answer to that is yes. So give me a yes in the chat if you've heard of a program called 75 Hard. If you've heard of 75 Hard, please give me a yes in the chat. Okay, I see a no from Jim, a yes from Raphael. Okay, Melissa, yes. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. More no's here than I expected. Well, so in this group I'm a member of called Board of Advisors, it's a bunch of entrepreneurs. A number of us have been putting together these like Facebook posts about, hey, I'm doing 75 Hard, you should do it too. And I didn't know what it was, so I took a look. And it turns out to me that that 75 Hard is really just a simple, it's a list of tasks that if you do every day for 75 days, you'll develop a greater sense of mental discipline and fitness. And I thought, okay, well, I like the concept of that. I like how people are engaging here. I just didn't really like the way that they're pulling it off. So I wanted to bring one of my philosophies to bear here on 75 Hard. So recently I taught a webinar called Martial Art of Achievement. And there's a principle that Bruce Lee taught, absorb what is useful and discard what is not. So here on my phone, you see the 75 Hard app. It has a list of things to do. And look at this guy scowling at me, tattoos all over the place. What happened? You haven't checked in. It's hard to read this backwards, right? That means either you did the work or you didn't, and you let your inner bitch voice beat you. Like, I don't like this at all. Like, I believe in growth. I believe in self-improvement, but I don't want an app to like pseudo threaten. This is, I think, a pretty, it's toxic masculinity. Quite frankly, it's just not cool, right? I don't need to be told I have an inner bitch voice if I don't do something, right? I'm an adult. You're adults. I think the world gets a lot better when we're better to each other. So I want to be a voice of kindness that's available in the world. And I want to encourage people to come on that journey with me. So here's my ask for you. If you like what I've shared with you today, if you see how these 5 simple activities that I've named done daily over time are likely to produce a result. I'd like to invite you to participate in a special program with me. So there are a lot of yeses that have been written in the chat so far. I don't want to see a yes for this. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, I'd like you to write, I'm in. Okay. And if you're in, I'm going to reach out to you separately. We have your registration information. This is a project that's just a passion project for me. And I'm going to want to really go to town with you on this. So we'll build some accountability groups. We'll make this work. So I love it. Thank you, Jim, Cynthia, Bob, Lisa, Melissa, Mike. I freaking love it. I can't tell you how much it means to me. Like, talk about validation, right? Here's an idea. Does it have merit? And here's people saying, yes, I'm in. I want to be part of this. So I really appreciate that. So Greg, Stephanie, Bob, Maya, Bob, Rahul, the names are coming in too fast now to keep up. I will reach out to each of you personally. I will do that. And you'll be hearing from me before the end of the week here with next steps. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Now, oh, Bob, awesome. Bob just signed up for Chirp. Thank you. Welcome to Happy Grasshopper, Bob. We're glad to have you on board. That's awesome. So, Jim, you're asking what type of reach out will it be? You're going to be shocked that it could be email, voicemail drop, or text message. I might even send you a handwritten card. You never know. That could happen. So I'll flesh out for you a little bit of what my thoughts are. So I have a really talented team of people that I work with at Happy Grasshopper, and our lead software developer is just this gem of a human being. A week ago, I said, hey, I think we can do something really special that's going to make a difference in the world by helping people focus on these 5 activities. Can you make some modifications inside Happy Grasshopper that would let us do that? And this morning, he pushed the first set of those things live. So the tasks area that you saw within my account, we now have the ability to push those tasks inside your account. Okay. Now, I mean, obviously, if you're using Happy Grasshopper, you've just become a new subscriber, we can do that for you. Even if you're not, if you choose never to become our client, that's fine. I still want to help you. So we need to have a means of pushing tasks to you. And that's something we're in the process of building. So, this group of people who've said, I'm going to reach out to you with some more detail. We're going to, arrange ways that we can collaborate with each other a little more effectively. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate your participation there. So it is 3:15. I have been yapping at you for a whopping hour and 15 minutes, and you're still with me. I love it. So does anyone have more questions? How may I serve you more completely or fully? Has there been a gap in your understanding of these 5 activities? Was there something you wish I would have covered in more detail? Cynthia, I love it. What's the website to get the offer? Simple. happygrasshopper.com/offer. And I'll pop that here in the chat here for you. All right, so there you go. I just popped that in the chat. Thank you, Cynthia, for asking again. So seriously, though, any questions about the 5? Any questions about me, my journey? I try to be as transparent as possible. I really do feel privileged to have had the past hour and 15 minutes that we've been able to spend together. I hope that you've taken value from this today. And more importantly, I hope that you actually put it into use, right? So taking action on something you've learned is the next critical thing you can do. So, like Bob, if you've just subscribed, awesome. Well done. You're taking action. You're already moving towards doing the things that will take you where you want to go. And Brian, I see you just put in the clickable link. Thank you for doing that. Jim, this is great. Making a stranger smile. More examples. And then I don't know what that next word is, but I like it. It's got all, for, nukes, me in it. Could be a typo, perhaps. But more examples of making a stranger smile. Sure. I have a friend and client. I've talked about her on previous webinars. Her name's Kat Robinson. She has a way of like lighting up a room. That's her special gift. So she uses that power. She wields it incredibly well. So one of the things she'll do is like hold a door open for someone, or really thank and express appreciation to someone that's maybe not expecting it. So, you know, in times of COVID, when we're all wearing masks and we're trying to stay at least 6 feet apart from one another, it's a bit more of a challenge to do that. My personal favorite for making a stranger smile is just by slightly scratching their record. Okay. This is an example that I learned from Tony Robbins. But if you think about the old days when we used to listen to music on LPs and records, it was, you know, a wax disc that had these grooves carved into it. And the needle would follow along these grooves, right? It goes round and round and round and round. And you could get your needle stuck in one groove, stuck in a rut. It just wouldn't stay. It was the same thing. It's mundane. And that's exactly the position I found that Costco worker in. They're asking for people for their card every single day. You know, you're holding up your card. It's very low engagement. It doesn't feel very satisfying for them. It doesn't feel very satisfying for members like me walking in the door. So the reason, the strength to exercise your personal power in that moment is because you develop that inner sense of, wow, I made an impact on that person's day. I have the fortitude to make a difference in the world. And that may seem like a really small thing, but it's a foundational element, right? If I can go from being an abused child to, you know, starting multiple multi-million-dollar companies, I can tell you it's not because I was ready to do it on day one. I became ready and capable of doing it over time. There was a point in my life where I didn't believe that anybody could like me. You know, we moved every 6 months to 2 years. I was the shy new kid all the time, everywhere we moved. And, you know, a little thing to make this impact in the world, you know, not only do you get to give the gift of making someone smile, right, but you get to experience the gift of knowing for certain that you're capable of helping someone out of their rut, out of their groove. There's magic there. There truly is. So let's see here. Bob, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And Greg, I love this. I love it, man. I absolutely love this. Calm, confident, grounded, strong, and happy. I love it. You've definitely attended other sessions. That's great. Greg, I'm proud to know you. Thank you very much. Brian brought chocolates a few weeks ago when he had to fly to give to the check-in staff at the airport and the flight attendants. How cool is that? That's awesome. That is a random act of kindness for sure. Melissa, Karen here. Quick question. Is there a limit of contacts to upload? Yes. Great question. So in your Chirp account, we limit it to 250 contacts. That's going to be far more than most people need to have in their Chirp account, because these people are limited to folks who actually know you, your past clients, your sphere of influence, period, right? Most agents have about 300 people in their whole database. Others, of course, have a much smaller number. So if you need more than that, if you have a larger database than that, that's fine, but you just need to upgrade to one of our other Happy Grasshopper accounts. So the first level from that is the Nurture account. Then we have the Pro account, the Team account, and eventually the Elite account. So let's see here. All right, awesome. So again, guys, I will hang out and answer more questions. I'm amazed there's still so many of you hanging out. Really means a lot to me. You know, I'm going to circle back here to these small things. There's never been a more important time for you to make those 3 phone calls per day. I don't know about you, but the last year has not been the easiest year of my life. Like, one of my favorite people in the world, a longtime employee of Happy Grasshopper, Paul Flagg. He got diagnosed with COVID, and we all had that moment of, oh my God, what is this going to mean? But like a rock star, he shrugged it off in about a day and a half, totally quarantined. Thankfully, he's healthy. And yet, we are connected to people. We absolutely are, I promise you, who will be delighted to hear from you. You have the ability to make someone's day. And I feel that if you have that ability, you have the obligation to use it. So pick up your phone. Go make those 3 phone calls, and I promise you, you'll get far more from it than you expect. That's my promise to you. So let's see here. Jim, what type of file for your contacts can be uploaded into HG, Chirp, or more robust? Almost any type. For Chirp members, a CSV file is the easiest way to do it. For people using Nurture or Pro, or if you're really stuck and you need our help, one of our support people will take your contacts in any file type. In fact, all HG Pro members have this as an option, where literally from like shoebox filled with old open house sign-in sheets, we'll load those people into the system for you. And in 10 years, by the way, I think we've gotten all of like 3 shoeboxes filled with old open house sign-in sheets. There's something that just recently happened, and I'm going to share this, right? This is a bit of a personal story. I might get a little choked up here, but we have a member who reached out to us just this Monday and shared the result of one of our automated voicemail drops. So the person who received his voicemail drop is someone he had served with in Iraq, and he was in a hard place. His fiance had dumped him, and someone he was close to had recently committed suicide. And our voicemail drop arrived for that person, and they called our member back. So our member had a weekend other than they expected. And he wrote us this really long, nice letter explaining the situation. And he said that our message helped him save a life. And, there are people in your life that need to hear from you. There are. So it's time to hang up with me and pick up the phone, right? Call 3 people today and express sincere appreciation to them. And I promise you won't regret that you did. So thanks everyone for coming today. I really appreciate your time and your attendance, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Bye now. Oh, you're welcome, Karen. You are welcome, Jim. Thanks, Maya. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Melissa. I'll see you guys soon.